The first film I saw of Ian's was the very first film presented tonight, Hot Chicken. And basically when I saw it, I didn't know how it was going to develop, so because I never look up, what a film's plot is or what's in the film, never ever. And so I'm just kind of following it at the start, this kind of lonely guy who's getting a little bit of a perverse thrill from his green cordial and the hot chicken that he's tearing apart and lusting after. And then it goes into this kind of spiritual / sexual aerobics. And I was really rapt because I always look for something a bit different in Australian cinema. Like, Australian cinema is so full of like naturalism and, just kind of family stories and coming of age stories and all this kind of thing. And so I was kind of rapt to see something a bit surreal, a bit absurd, because I think surrealism is something that is just not done very much in Australia at the moment. So how did you come up with the idea? It's your script?
I'm still confused by Hot Chicken. I don't know how it happened.
It comes from deep within your soul.
I mean, I know sort of what brought the idea on or something, but I really don't understand that film. Like, tonight was a very weird experience for me, watching these things. It came from seeing a guy on YouTube who did spiritual aerobics.
Yeah.
And he did it really intensely, and he looked like he was high. And so that was part of it. I wanted to go into that world.
Are you here? Feels good to be here, doesn't it?
I just want to take you on this journey that you didn't really understand.
Yeah.
As well, and that you just ended up somewhere you never expected.
Yeah.
But somehow it sort of makes sense. Somehow.
Oh, definitely.
Really?
Yeah, because I think every person who is like maybe a bit of a loner or a bit awkward or living, I don't know, just kind of feeling like a zero almost. They've got that desire within them to experience something, and he gives himself over to it. So the second film, The Comedian, it has got a kind of similar theme in a way. There's a really nice guy. He's a bit awkward, and he wants connection. Sort of doesn't know how to achieve it. And you've in those first two films, those narrative films, you've got a real humane sense. You've got a real kind of sense of caring for these characters. Is that something you've thought about consciously, or?
I don't know if I've thought about it, but like, if you don't care about those characters, those films are gonna be very hard to watch, probably.
I don't know what I'm. Oh man. So I think the universe is sending me signals trying to tell me that I should change my career.
Just looking at the narrative of The Comedian, I mean, there's lots of films kind of made like that about, I don't know, even comedians and, trying to be a success in it, and then they finally become a success and all this. But you kind of, as the script goes along, you undercut that continuously. Like, the jokes aren't funny, everyone's a bit awkward, everyone's, you kind of expect the scene to be a certain way, and it's not like that. Do you think, when you're writing the script and then when you're editing, do you think about that and do that intentionally?
like I knew for that film that I wanted no one to really connect with each other, and everything was a joke. Everyone was trying to tell a joke, and no one was actually really talking to each other. So everyone was a bit in that same boat, a little bit. Everyone was a bit of an outside person in some strange little world. And I did write the script. The script wasn't very good. We sort of improvised it a bit, and the lead actor is Mark Bonanno, who at the time was just starting out in his comedy career, but he's actually become quite a big comedian with Auntie Donna and those guys.
So my last name's Harris, and I think growing up, kids can be quite cruel, and I think because of you know, like I think because of a mix of my last name rhyming with phallus and me having quite a big nose, that's why kids took to calling me nothing. Really, they.
For me, my favourite film of yours is one of those. Is probably the taxi ride one, which is the one in Beijing in China, where Ian gets in the cab and the driver sort of he's kind of looking up what street to get
totally
to,
lost.
and he doesn't know.
Yeah.
And what you do is like you have triple exposures, quadruple exposures. I don't know what you got in there, but it's really amazing because so it's kind of like you're within the cab, and then you also see these kind of movements outside, and then other kind of shots, but you keep the sound on the cab.
Yeah.
You keep the sound on the just little kind of incidental sounds that are happening inside the cab, and that for me creates this disjuncture between the image and the sound. So for me, it's almost like a Chris Marker type, Sunless type film where, he's kind of in that film he's going around Japan and just capturing these little moments, and because we see things that don't match with the sound, like people playing musical instruments, people dancing, moving, whatever. Did you have that as a formal idea that you definitely wanted to do that, or did that come to you with the editing to put everything together?
I think I was, at that time, I'd just been asked to do something for a video festival in Melbourne, and I just had gone to Beijing, so I just filmed a lot of things. And then when that taxi ride happened and I got out and that kid just ran down the street.
That's amazing.
It was just like, I just felt like that was a narrative. Like that whole journey was sort of this narrative, and somehow felt like that kid was me. But I just never wanted it to be like a one image. Like there was always this like ever-changing relationship.
Yeah.
So it was like the world is always shifting, and you never really know where you totally are, but you get these little moments of like.
Sure.
I mean, I quite like that film, even though it is pretty weird. But like, I quite like some of the moments in that.
Yeah, I really like it. I like the Indian one is really good too. Is that Super 8, I guess?
Yeah, so that's Super 8, and I should say that like that one, the Super 8 camera was broken.
Yeah.
I borrowed it, and so there's not like one edit in that film. It's just all, the camera just stopped all the time, and so that's just one roll, just like the camera just edited it.
So a lot of those documentaries were made before VCA, and what was the other one? The Japanese one is pretty good too. So each has a different style, and the Indian one's great because the musical soundtrack, again, like a disjuncture between that long song and the images. I really love that. So with you actually ended up going back to Asia. I think Hot Chicken got selected for Busan. Is
The
that-
short film festival, yeah, in Busan.
Yeah, so Hot Chicken is selected for so it's not the main.
Not the main
Busan
one. It's like they have a short
film
film
festival.
film festival as well.
So you had some success with festivals
Some.
with
Yeah.
those couple of films.
I mean, Hot Chicken
Comedian
was like
yeah,
such a weird film, and it played in Busan on a huge screen.
yeah.
Like you can't imagine that film on a huge screen.
So how did the humour work for the Koreans?
People were confused. Like people were really, well, they were confused, but they were really interested. They actually really dug it because it was so weird. Some guy like loved it so much at the Q&A. He just kept
Yeah.
asking really weird questions about it, and he came up and hugged me afterwards.
Cool.
But yeah, like they've both, that one and the comedian, have played in a few festivals, but they sort of just more particular film festivals, not their sort of main
Yeah.
ones.
What about in Australia?
No, he didn't really play.
Oh, so not Myth or not
Not
St Kilda?
Myth, and like Myth. The year I put Hot Chicken in, they had a WTF section, like what the fuck section,
Oh, okay.
and they didn't choose it for that, so I was just like,
Wow.
perfect for that. But
Well, that's like when they say they're playing innovative independent film and they never choose any innovative independent films. I want to know a little bit more about your time in Asia. Like, you were actually like an artist in residence in China.
I did a little period there, yeah, but it sort of was a bit too short. And
Was that when you filmed the Beijing one, or another time?
No,
Yeah.
that was after
Okay.
that.
Mm.
I lived, after those things, I lived in Asia for a bit, in China.
Oh,
and
okay.
I lived in Taiwan as well.
Oh, okay.
So
you
I didn't
spent-
really make much stuff there. Like I just
How
kinda-
many months of the year were you living there? Were you away from
Uh,
Australia?
I've been away like off and on a lot.
Yeah, so like 6 months and 6 sort of.
Oh, I
roughly?
go away for like a year and a half
Wow.
or more. Yeah.
So that probably explains why you haven't made more films here the last few years,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
I mean, I've been back for like 2 years now,
Mm.
and haven't made anything.
What are the words that are possible to use? And how will they use you?
Speaking of sound,
Speaking of sound too, we got Nick
yeah,
here.
we've got one of the composers of a couple of
You
the
go and
films. It's the one of the early films called Hum, with these abstract kind of lights in the city, and then the one with the those blow puppet things,
Sky
the
dancers.
sky dancers they're
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
Nick did the music for
Yeah, and it still sounds really good.
those two. I love that kind of guitar music. Were you influenced by like Neil Young, Dead Man, or stuff like that?
Yeah, I
or-
guess so. Yeah, I didn't think of that, but probably.
Yeah, it's a
that
similar
second
kind
one.
of thing.
Yeah.
But
I think the main thing was like I got like a delay pedal for the first time.
Yeah.
Didn't like, record guitar or anything, but just put the microphone in front of the amp and walked around. And then for the Hum one, it was this. I think I just played. I was just mucking around with my acoustic guitar and we just played it live into the.
Oh, that's right. We did it
Oh,
live.
okay.
Yeah.
I just fitted. I didn't have to do any editing.
Okay.
I just sort of left it. I didn't want to do any editing anyway. Maybe because I was lazy.
Yeah, I just want to ask about the superimposition is a major part of your presentation. You know, I mean, it sort of a lot of it reminded me of the old saying by Marshall McLuhan. You know, that the medium is the message. Sorry. So, do you have that in mind, that you're trying attention to your product rather than the content, because you are superimposing and moving all the time?
I think, watching those films, like, I really just care about the mood a lot of the time, and like, I think it's got to have a certain mood, and then I just don't care as much about the story or something. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but
no, that's very good.
But
because we're working on instinct and tone and feeling. A lot of filmmakers forget all that stuff.
Yeah.
And there's definitely, like, there's awkwardness, there's a haunting feeling, there's a bit of weird joy, there's a bit of a few different things. So, yeah.
What's next?
I guess I should probably do like another short film. I'd like to do a longer thing, but I don't know how to do that at the moment. So I think a short film should happen. I have no idea what it's going to be. Yeah,
because I just discovered your films, so for me they're all fresh. But what the last one is in 13 or 14, so it has been 4 or 5 years. So yeah, I encourage you.
Here we go. Give praise. You don't want to give praise.
Any last question?
Yeah.
Yep, Chris.
So you described what you feel like when you're not making a film, which is a low mood.
Well, sometimes, yeah.
So what about when you are engaged in a film? How are you feeling then, and how do you switch off? Is it a 24/7, around the clock working, or do you just shut down?
Do you get stressed, or do you have adrenaline and you love it every second? Or?
No, I don't always love it. I get stressed because, like, most of these films and most of the things that I have done are just experiments. I don't really know how they're going to work. Like, I just have a rough script or a rough idea, and I just don't know how they're going to work. So it is often like you're trying to work it out in the edit, or you're trying to work it out, and that's always a bit stressful. But it's a good kind of stress, because it's like pushing you to make sense of it and things. And like you need that pressure sometimes to finish these things, and like
certainly to finish. But it's good if you don't know what you're doing. That's what I believe.
But I do feel good at times when you're making them. You feel like, I'm doing something with my time that's worthy of. I don't know. Like, I just feel a bit more connected, and
Do you miss China?
Yes, I miss my cat.
What?
My cat. I kept it for 10 years.
Your kite? Oh, like your kite? Like it's your...
Oh, no, a cat.
Oh, your cat? It's your cat. Oh, right.
We'll wrap it up, I think. So thanks everyone for coming, and thanks Iain.
Yeah, thank you.